Hello and welcome to Squid Pro Quo, a Squid Game podcast where there are only 3 rules. 1, a player is not allowed to stop podcasting. 2, a player who refuses to podcast will be terminated. And 3, the podcast will be terminated if the majority agrees. I'm Sean.
And I'm Mike. And welcome.
After 3 tries, I got that.
Yeah, 3 times a charm. That's what they say. Like riding a bike, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Today we're covering episode 3 of season 3 of Squid Game.
Yes.
It's Not Your Fault is the English name of the episode. But before we get into that, we have a little bit of housekeeping to do, right?
We do. You said we have an email.
We have an email, yeah. That says, pick your plan, cover your vehicle with flexible pricing from Car Shield. Oh, no, that's not the right email. That is an email that we were signed up for, though.
There is a real email, though.
There is a real email, yes. That wasn't just a bit I put on you. Okay. Full disclosure, we're recording this on Independence Day, the 4th of July.
Yes.
So there might be fireworks you hear in the background, like, because people are obnoxious. I mean, they're patriotic. But this email came in today before I posted, because I posted our first episode today. So this email came in today, and it is from Mackenzie.
Oh, okay.
And the subject line is, I found your podcast when I really needed it.
Oh.
Like everyone else, I, like everyone else, found Squid Games during the pandemic. After watching it, I needed to talk to someone about it, but didn't have anyone. I went searching for YouTube channels or pods, found yours, and found what I was looking for. Your first season coverage discussed all the same things that I'd wanted to talk about. I was very happy that you covered the challenge reality show. It also needed to be talked about. Lorenzo is absolutely a character trying to be a person.
Yeah. That's the perfect way to put it.
Yes,
I love that.
Your second season coverage was great. The comments about the Beast games and the editing of the rant to be at the end of the episode was hilarious. I was looking forward to third season coverage, but I understand if life does not permit it on your end. I will continue to follow you on other platforms and pods. Looking forward to future shows. Thank you kindly, Mackenzie. Well, good news, Mackenzie. We are covering season 3. We're back. We did it.
With a lot of negativity in that first episode, but we're back.
I think we balanced it fairly because we covered both episodes. I'm not so sure that's going to happen with this episode, but
I got some strong thoughts.
Yeah. But I think we balanced it fairly in the first episode because I listened to it to edit it. And I thought that we were taking a turn towards the overly negative, and then we were like, we're going to talk about episode 2 as well, and that's when it shifted a bit. So
yeah.
But thank you, Mackenzie. If you want to be dope like Mackenzie and email us, you can at squidboyspq@gmail.com. That's squidboyzspq@gmail.com. Please don't sign me up for fucking mailing lists. Oh my God. Oh my God. Why is this happening?
Dude, I think it was Jip. I'm telling you. It was Jip getting revenge for us roasting him for totally legitimate reasons.
It might have been Jip. Anyway, you had something you wanted, an article?
So I've got an article, and really, I have 2 really major complaints about this episode that I just want to hit at the start so that we can then talk about the episode and I can have said my piece about the things that bother me here. Mm-hmm. The first one is the thing that has the article, and it's from our good friends over at Incel Gamer Network.
IGN, Incel Gamer Network.
The title is, one of the Squid Game VIP actors says they don't know why they were made to sound so bad after being dubbed over by another English voice.
Okay, so this was my big complaint about this episode too, is I wasn't sure because I watched the sub this time because I only watched this episode once before. The previous 2 episodes I'd watched both twice, and I'd watched the sub one and the dub another, right? This time I only watched the sub, and the woman VIP is atrocious. Like the voice they got to dub over her is just, it doesn't fit, and she doesn't do a good job of trying to line up her lines with the person's mouth moving, I feel. Where I feel like a couple of the white guys, there were times where, oh, that could be the original voice line. But then there were times where it was off. So
yeah, I definitely felt that way.
But she was always off. She's always not good. And I don't understand because I was watching, like I said, I was watching the sub. I don't understand why they would have the actors speak in English and then dub them over to speak English.
So this article says more about this actually, and it's really interesting.
Okay.
The actor Brian Bucko,
that's not his
says,
name.
Yeah, Brian Bucko.
Brian Bucko?
Wait,
That's not his name.
I mean, maybe Bucco, maybe Bucco. I don't know, but Bucko, Brian Bucko.
It's Buccio. It's Buccio.
It's. I'm calling him Bucko.
He's Italian. It's Buccio. Brian Buccio.
Guess what? I don't care.
Brian Bucko.
As an Italian, as a half Italian, I don't care. He says, I think whoever is contracted to do the dubbing does all of the dubbing. The Korean version shouldn't have English dubs. If there are some in the Korean version, it would have to be due to specific lines having to be re-recorded for clarity.
But it's not. There are points where there are points where the lip movement lines up perfectly, but it's just not the voice coming from the room. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds like I don't know if that's like the actual reason, for why they are redoing people's voices. Because I will say, like, there are times where very clearly all of this was ADR'd. It was whether I could tell it was ADR'd or not.
Right.
Like, there were, and I don't even want to say if I could tell it was ADR'd or not, because I could tell all of it was ADR'd, but whether I was able to suspend disbelief that it wasn't.
Every time they're on screen, it has the feeling of Bane on the airplane in The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, that's not what they said, or that's not how it sounded, right? It just has that, it would be very painful for you. Like it's very like that. And I don't understand it. The front man does fine because he's behind his mask the whole time.
Yeah, yeah.
But like everybody else, okay, can I tell you what the other problem with it is?
Yeah.
They're poorly written.
Yeah.
They're written.
That's a different thing.
There's been a lot of memes I've seen today because it's the 4th of July of be the American that Japanese people think you are, and it's like a picture of Guile and like Paul Phoenix and all these like really like bombastic like characters, American characters that Japanese people created. And I feel these VIPs are written like the creator of the show thinks American people sound.
So this is all very interesting because as I'm looking at this article, there's like quotes that talk exactly about what you're bringing up. This is a quote back from season 1 from one of the actors where he says, "It's different for every show, but non-Korean performers often act with dialogue that is translated by a non-native, sometimes even by Google Translate. So it can sound unnatural. And often we don't have the scripts for the rest of the show. We are only given our scenes, so we have no idea of the tone." Another one of the VIP actors says, "Unless otherwise asked, we are not playing Westerners as we know them. We are generally providing an interpretation of what a Westerner is from the point of view of a different culture. For Western viewers, there can be this kind of uncanny valley feeling that comes from that. But as an actor, unless I feel that it's pointlessly abusive, it's not my place to challenge a director's view of my culture. And as a human being, I can learn from it."
Well, and it's not even that they're like scummy people, like, because obviously
no.
But
they very clearly are performing as Westerners, a different person's view of what it means to be.
Right. When you add in the ADR of it all and that together, they just come off as so ingenuine and not like you watch it and you go, I know that like we're in this fantasy world where the rich people decided to do these games and it would never actually happen that way, or you would hope. Yeah. Like, it makes you go, this isn't real.
Yeah.
This isn't real.
Yeah.
And I think this show has been pretty good about being pretty grounded in reality and a bit gritty and having like the bright colors contrast that, you know, when they're like walking through the mazes and all that stuff. But it's been pretty. They're not like, oh, the ghost of Mr. O is coming. They're not doing that, and it sucks that there's this small part of season 1, and then now this part of season 3 that just feels off because of it, and like. I mean, we can talk about what they do in this episode, but they're just like, yeah, the baby should play, right? And
so this is
I don't care how big of a monster you are. That just seems like that wouldn't happen.
Insane.
That wouldn't happen.
So this is the other thing. I wanted to talk about, like, I wanted to get the VIPs are a bad part of the episode. Like, they don't work, out of the way, so that we could talk about what the VIPs do in the actual episode, you know, without me harping on that every 5 seconds about how terrible it is. The other thing that I'm just going to say now, and then I'm going to try to, like, get past it and talk about the episode as it is, the baby thing really jumped the shark in a way for me that I felt this episode. Like, the thing you were talking about at the end of the last podcast where it was just too much, I felt it. I'm going to be, like, totally frank with you guys. If we weren't doing this podcast, I don't know if I'd watch on.
Right.
It introducing the baby into the scenario really, and then making them compete with the fucking baby. Like, I think this show does a really good job in season 1. And I think in season 2, it does a good job of this as well. Of approaching the line of, like you said, not being torture porn and staying on the other side of that line and not just being overly fucking dark and cynical for, like, no reason. And it just, the baby thing is just, and there's also the thing of, we talked about it before, and this isn't anywhere near to the extent of the baby, but I was already feeling really terrible because of the baby. But, like, the dog, and then you shoot the dog, like, whatever, but then showing the fucking, like, tongue sticking out of this dead animal is just like,
So the dog didn't bother me because the CGI on the dog was
CGI is so bad.
Abysmal.
It's awful. The CGI is awful. But
the CGI on the dog is so abysmal. It looks like it wasn't supposed to be a dog. It looked like in the first Hunger Games. In the first Hunger Games, which is a movie that's like 15 years old at this point, it feels like. When they had those mutts attack at the end, right?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. Worse than that.
It looks really bad.
Worse than that. The dog is so... The dog... we're talking about a bigger problem overall here because the CGI baby wasn't great, but I get it. Like...
Yeah.
You can't cast a newborn baby.
No.
And I don't think anybody in Hollywood or television has really gotten that right. Like, there have been like American Sniper, for example, just a big budget Bradley Cooper starred movie.
Yeah.
He's holding a baby dummy at one point, and it's clear, right? Like, no one's really gotten the baby thing right, and I don't know that they should, right? I don't think we should force young children into acting roles.
No.
But you're telling me, Netflix, that you don't have the budget to make the baby look better?
I'm fucking telling you, Mike. I'm telling you. And this is so fucking conspiracy theory brained of me, but I really fucking think they budgeted this shit as one season. Like, I really think they set the budget for what this second season was going to be, and then it just got too long, and they were like, maybe they increased the budget a little bit, but I do not believe that they are spending 2 seasons worth of money on this show.
Imagine the poor CGI guy. The one person that was working on this, and they're like, okay, so now you need to animate the baby breastfeeding.
You know what? Maybe that's why they split the show in half, because the baby wasn't ready.
The baby wasn't ready. They had to make sure the breastfeeding was good.
They were like,
You don't have
They were
to
like, we
show
can release
the baby
the show.
breastfeeding.
We can release the show up to the baby being born, but we can't. The baby's not ready. We can't get to that part of the show yet.
Breastfeeding. You don't need to show him latching onto the nipple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this,
it's insane.
It's just insane how bad the CG. And then the dog was. The dog looked like it belonged in a bowling strike video.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just the worst. Like. Oh man, and then shooting the dog sucks, right? And maybe that's why they did a clear CGI dog, so people weren't like, they shot a dog, right? But it's just bad.
It's just bad, and really, what bothers me about shooting the dog is cutting back and showing the fake corpse, the fake body, or the fake like head,
because they
tongue
make
sticking
a
out, or
point,
whatever. Like
they make a point of not showing him shooting the dog.
Exactly,
like it cuts outside,
exactly.
Right?
They make. Yeah, and so that's kind of where I was like, oh, I don't love that they're gonna kill this dog, but at least like, all right, they're cutting outside, like, yeah, okay. And then they cut back, and I'm like, fucking, what was the point of cutting outside? Like,
right.
Well, the point of cutting outside is that they clearly did not have the CGI to make shooting this dog look.
They showed like the funny sidekick sleeping, you know. Oh, what was that? Well, I guess I'll go back to sleep. So those to me, I don't want to speak more on the rest of the season. Full disclosure, I've seen episode 4, and I do like episode 4 a lot more than this one.
Okay.
Mostly because there's not as glaring of issues like this. Like, I think if they had executed on this stuff better, I'd like this episode a lot more, right? Yeah. If they had executed on the VIPs being more believable and the writing of the VIP, like the writing is just, and honestly,
it's ridiculous.
Some of this writing in this season has been good, and in the last season, but one thing that I really liked about Squid Game in the first place is a lot of media that's translated from Japanese or Mandarin or Korean
or
they tend to those languages, and I might be speaking out of turn here because I might not completely understand, you know, but from what I've heard from my brother who speaks Japanese, you know, and has learned a lot about Japanese and other people, is that, and through just being a JRPG fan with translations, there's a lot of repetition in like Japanese, for example, where it doesn't come off as repetition, like they're saying the same thing, but there's different inflection on it, so it means something slightly different. Where if you translate it to English, it's just someone saying the same thing again. And so you'll play a game like Danganronpa, and like a character will go, so wait, we're gonna die here? And then the next character, and someone will say yes, and then the next character will go, so wait, you're telling me we're gonna die here?
We're gonna die here. That's my exact problem with Danganronpa.
Right. And for me, and maybe I'm misremembering, it didn't really affect Squid Game in the first season or even really the second season. But I've noticed in this one, there'll be a lot of, and I joked about it last episode where the guy's like getting fed up with these Karens, but there's just a lot of like, so wait, we have to jump over this rope to make it to the end? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh, so we have to jump over this rope to make it to the end? There's a lot of that. And I don't know why that's come into light for me more in this season in particular.
I'm not sure. I personally didn't notice it, but that isn't to say that it's not there. You know, I'll admit, especially with this episode, I was pretty fucking distracted. Like I do want to pivot because I've given my thoughts on the baby thing, but you were the one that initially made the comment last episode that I feel that I agree with a lot more now than I did last episode. But how do you feel about it? Like, did it work for you?
The baby,
just
making
what
the
they
baby
do with
play.
the baby.
Well, okay, so in this episode, she's going to leave the baby in the dormitory.
Yeah,
and I go, oh, cool. I'm so glad, because that's not, you know, I kind of predicted that if they do it this way, it will suck. And then she turns around because the baby's crying.
Yeah.
So the moment she grabs the baby, I go, oh, they're going to make her play with the baby, you know?
Yeah.
And it just, to me, with the VIPs, like, I get that, like, the whole point of this is that rich people are out of touch and don't think of poor people as human and all that, right? But I'd like to believe that there would be at least one rich person in that room that would go, hey, aren't we taking this a little far with the baby?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'd like to believe that. And maybe that's just me being an optimist. Maybe maybe there are that kind of evil people out there that would do that. I don't buy it. I don't buy that the guards would go, hey, they told us to make this baby play, and we're going to stand. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't buy that would happen.
No.
And maybe, again, that we're talking about a game where people are killing each other for money, right? So maybe I'm just being a little too on my moral soapbox with this, but I just think it's unrealistic that they would ask the baby to compete.
Yeah.
And I get they would make her compete with the broken foot, like they wouldn't, that hasn't stopped them before.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it does provide what it provides is the impetus for Gihan to stop being the Gi 1000 and open up his heart again. And they we've already danced to the meat of the episode because of these two problems we had with it. But well,
and I just want to I think that something I want to make clear here kind of early on, at least in our discussion of the episode, is that while I said at the beginning, if we weren't doing the podcast, I don't know if I'd keep watching the show. It's not because I think this is bad. Like you talked about it being the impetus. I think on paper, the narrative of it's stupid that they make the baby play, but then the narrative of what that creates works. It runs into something that I think, we talked about last episode, and that I think you and I have had this conversation about The Last of Us. It gets to a point of I just why I don't want to watch this,
because it's dire, right?
Even if I can acknowledge it's well written, it's well done, it's just fuck, man. And you know what? Maybe that's the point.
Right.
Maybe I think I gave this theory in episode 1 that I kind of feel even stronger about now, that part of this season's authorial voice is the creator of the show reprimanding us a little bit for being so into the first season, especially with the stuff that's happening with the baby. I feel fucking chastened by by the creator of you guys are having fun, right? You guys having fun? Oh, this is a good time for you guys, you're you're almost anger of you're not taking what I'm saying seriously. Right. So I'm going to put this fucking baby in trouble, you know? There's definitely that feeling to me. And you know what? If that's what this is, I kind of respect the fuck out of that, of getting your payday while also being you fuckers aren't getting it, and maybe that's the point. And if that is the point, power to him. I think it's really cool that he was able to do that with Netflix's money, but it feels bad to watch, but we could talk about the actual episode now.
And I don't know. I think we've kind of unpacked it in a way that it doesn't make sense to go scene by scene, but the big start of the episode or the big first kind of story is about the mom who is really trying to, when they do the vote, she's really trying to get the blue guys to vote red so everybody can go home, and they just kind of ignore her, and it's real sad.
Yeah.
And then she has a heart-to-heart with Gihan in the middle of the night where she admits that she killed her son. And she cries. And this kind of... It's the first time we've seen Gihan... Not the first time, but... he's handcuffed to the bed again because he tried to kill himself at the end of the last episode. Yep. And this is the first time that he's been affected by someone just talking to him other than anger. Because you can tell he feels for her. And this is kind of the impetus of him, kind of coming back to life here, because she says, "Hey, please take care of Junhee and this baby. They need you." And he kind of, I don't know if he buys it in that moment, but the next morning the guards bring a coffin in because she has hung herself.
Yeah.
And
that was, I think, one of the moments that actually in this episode worked very well for me. And that my note for that here was just, and it's what I said out loud was just fuck.
Yeah.
You know, like just, it made sense. Like her performance throughout this episode, her begging the people, like, there's a fucking baby here. Like, let the baby go.
Right.
You know? And then her begging Gihan to, like, be a hero, you know?
Yeah.
And that's something else is that, you know, we talked about, like, the dark side of Gihan. I've never rooted for that man like I am right now in this episode.
Yeah.
And it's because they put a fucking baby in his arms.
Right.
It worked,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Like, one of my notes about later on when he takes the baby into the game is like Gihan is a fucking superhero. Like, like this is, you know, I love him so much. But just, yeah, her, you know, she has a line about like telling her son, I regret all the pain I went through to bring you into this world, which is just like fucking.
And then he tried to kill himself. Yeah.
And then he tried to kill himself previously. And this is one of those things where I kind of talked about it last time about how, like, I think one of the weaknesses in these 2 seasons is that we didn't get a chance to see these people outside of the games before they competed. And that's something where, like, retroactively, I think that death I feel worse about now.
Yeah, no, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought this up because this is actually, I didn't mention this, but this is one of my issues with this episode and maybe this season overall is, or these games overall, is the way this episode ends. So again, we're dancing around again, but Gihan gets the baby across. And then he realizes he's in the dilemma of, oh, everybody else is trying to cross now, and he can't go back and get Junhee because he promised he would do that, right? Yeah. And then the episode ends with this fucking goon, who gets after him, and he just starts shoving people, off the you know, he shoves a person off the edge. Spoilers, he does it in the next episode too, obviously.
I believe it.
And Gihan's like, what are you doing? And he turns to the camera and he goes, I'm playing the game. But my problem with this is in season 1, or even, you know, to connect it to the reality show, we would have known about this guy. Yeah. But instead, he's just like a random goon that looks like a jackass. Yeah. And where, like, you would have wanted it to be like someone that we at least knew a little bit about. Like, if it was player 100, I'd go, okay, that tracks because we know about this guy, we know he's evil. But instead, it seems like they've built this, like, this group of guys who we're all just supposed to presume are evil because they want to stay and play the game. But we don't know anything about them other than they're in debt, you know? Yeah. And I feel like, wow, it was a cool way to end the episode, and it's a pretty smart tactic. I mean, again, it's like you're playing the game right, you know? If you're like, I'm going to fucking win, and I've already killed somebody to get here. I just wish we would have known a little more about this guy beforehand, because, like, I'm not going to compare him to the mobster dude from season 1. Right, you know? Exactly. Or the crazy chick, or, you know, there were... Yeah. Like, the crazy chick tackles the mobster dude in the glass bridge, but that was earned because we learned so much about them outside and inside the game, right? And, well, I guess the woman, they purposely shrouded her because she was a bit of a liar. You could tell she was making up stories about herself. But the mobster guy we knew a lot about, and we knew a lot about their relationship in the games. You know, it doesn't, I'm not going to say it rings hollow. I still think it's effective, but I wish that there was a little more work put into some of these villains, because we lost our one of our 2 last villains here in this episode with Namgyu getting fooled into going after his little drug cross, and then when there's nothing in it, he gets knocked off the edge and dies. He's the first person to go out there. By the way, great fucking sequence. I thought that was filmed well. I thought that was like, you know, I thought it was like a great way for that character to go out, you know? Yes. I really liked that bit of the episode. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like the only villain we're left with is the fucking old dude, and
Right.
like I don't know anything about him other than that he's a boomer.
Right.
I do have to say, we're talking about the guy that pushes people off. I did just grab this image. I don't know if you can throw it up on the YouTube, but Gihan's reaction to this guy pushing somebody off is my new favorite reaction image. I just sent it to you.
It's really good. You're right. He's like, what?
He's like, what the fuck are you doing?
He looks like a regular bystander in an I think you should leave sketch. When Tim Robinson does something like absolutely
He
unhinged.
fucking does.
Like,
he does.
What?
He's like, he just can't comprehend what he's just seen.
Right.
And I want to use that in my daily life now.
That's a good image.
It's really good. Yeah, I really liked, I'm very interested to see where that goes. I think the game as a whole is a pretty good one. I like this idea.
Yeah, we meet the girl's boyfriend, right?
Yeah, definitely not what I was expecting out of this, you know.
Well, and I said something about railroad tracks
sense.
last time, and I was right, but I
yeah.
didn't realize it was hanging over a fucking death chasm, you know?
Me neither.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I don't know what this says about me, but I really do like the games where it's like you fucking fall to your death if you lose.
Yeah.
Which maybe it's because like in my mind I'm like, you know, that's not an awful way to go. I guess it happens quick, huh? You know?
Yeah.
I tug of war, the fucking glass bridge. I don't know. These games. There's something about these games that always work for me.
Yeah. I agree. The game, and it's shot well. The shots of the VIPs watching from a distance are really cool too.
Yeah.
They have, similar to when they did the glass bridge, they have like the little chess pieces for the players, and there's the attendant knocking them off.
Gihan on the bridge is also done so well, like very believable that he's carrying this baby through it. You know?
No, he's a legend, dude.
He's really selling that, or I don't know if that's him or a stunt performer. I'm assuming it's a stunt performer, but really selling the like, I don't know. I guess there's close-ups of him where he's like really struggling to not fall, and it's very like you can tell his balance is off.
The rope is 100% CGI, right?
Oh, for sure. But like he's jumping around still, and
yeah, but I would think that the flooring is also 100% CGI.
For sure. But I guess what I'm saying is like, for all of this being fake, he's doing a really good job performing this and selling me on. He is walking across a bridge with a baby in his arms, and that's fucking with the center of gravity and everything.
They do this really cool shot, a first-person shot, which I made fun of in the first episode when they did it with the guard. But as he gets to the gap in the bridge, they do this like cool first-person shot where he's looking down and he's wobbling because he's jumping still. And I thought that shot was really cool. I think this was a very striking, cool-looking game. He didn't just dog walk it, you know what I mean? Like he stumbles a bunch. It's very thrilling. He makes it look a lot more dramatic than some of the other people do that are crossing after him. They're just kind of jumping in place, which makes sense.
And I think it works in the like, you know, he's got this baby, it's fucking with the center of gravity. I really like when he's like walking up to do it and like the crowd parting. It really is his hero moment, you know? One of the fucking VIPs makes a shitty joke about like, it's like a Marvel superhero, like Wonder Woman. That's actually a DC superhero. Yeah. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. You're right.
Like
that's a fucking you're right really behind dumb. Me joke kind of shit. You know? It's
a really fucking stupid joke, but it's like kind of, you know what? Fucking he is having his Marvel superhero moment walking out on that bridge with a baby.
We
still want to talk about the boat guys.
I was gonna say, we haven't talked
plot.
about the boat guys or the guards. So let's just go over the boat guys. They get out there and they get their I almost said droid operator, their drone operator to look at an island, and they find the island where Junho got shot and fell off the island.
Yes.
I thought it was interesting that he scubaed by himself to this island, like no one else came with him.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I also was like, I'm probably misremembering. I thought that was the island.
No,
like I thought the island he jumped off of was the one that the game is happening on?
No, they talk about it because he scubaed off the island, like from underneath the island.
Okay, yes.
And ended up at that island to try and escape.
Okay.
And he was trying to find service for his cell phone, I think is what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
So that island has to be close to the island they're looking for. But I because he went by himself, I was like, oh, this is when Captain Park is going to betray everybody.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out that way. We also have our good friend whose name escapes me, but he breaks into Captain Park's crib.
Yes.
And he avoids a very poorly animated CGI dog.
Yeah.
And breaks into the house and is looking and finds pictures, fishing pictures of them holding up fish they caught with who we know to be the front man, but he wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
And then the Dadachi guy who killed his boss.
Yeah.
As he discovers this, the dog breaks loose, and they kind of tilted that was going to happen with how bad the connection with the chain was. And the dog starts attacking him, and he starts punching the dog a couple times.
He's punching the dog. I thought that was kind of funny when he's just punching it in the snout.
But apparently this is like a mutant dog, clearly based on the CGI, that just doesn't care if it gets punched in the side of the head. And then he pulls out the gun and kills it. And as he's going to escape, he finds a bunch of money and a Squid guard costume hidden under the doghouse.
Yes.
And as that happens, the police show up to arrest him for trespassing because a neighbor heard what was going on. And so...
I just got to say, two people are fucking up here, all right? First of all, Woo-seok,
yes, that's his name. Thank you.
when the dog starts barking, my gun's up when I enter that house. You know? Like, this is no longer a stealth operation. You set the dog off, you know?
True.
Like, he just kind of walks into the house like, oh, what's in here, I wonder, huh? I'm like, no, my gun is ready. If they, like, at that point, they know you're fucking here. If there's anybody there. Obviously, it turns out that there isn't, but, you know, you're operating under the assumption that somebody might catch you. The other person who fucked up, you're involved in a organization that takes people to an island and has them play death games for money. And you take fucking pictures with your coworkers and hang them up in your house?
Yeah. Very strange.
Like,
there was also a scene earlier.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And there's also a scene earlier, which I don't understand what they were getting at, but he basically asks all the local fishermen and fish market people, like, hey, have you heard of this guy? And no one has.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense to me because his house is there, right?
His house is there. And also, like, he's been going out for the last year with Junho.
Yeah.
So, like,
I'm not
even
sure
if they
what
don't know him from
getting at
before
there.
then, presumably they would know him from that year time frame. Like, oh yeah, he's kind of new, but you know, he's been doing this, you know? Like,
but they were like, no one has ever fucking heard of this guy.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, this guy doesn't exist.
No one's ever heard of him. And that's kind of where we ended off with him getting arrested. The other plot is the guard number 11.
The guard girl, yeah.
Yeah, guard number 11 and the sick girl's dad, who she rescues. And she hides him in number 16 suit. And they figure it out pretty quickly. But I have a question about the
I
people
don't think they
scanner.
found it out quick enough.
Well, that and also
The fact that nobody scanned that body is fucking insane.
Okay, so the way I understood the scanner is that the mask had like some kind of like RFID chip or something in it to identify the soldier. But they just scan motherfucker's body and they know who he is.
I mean, I guess
What is this
presumably they have
technology?
implants. I guess presumably they have implants, but you know, who knows?
This is the most unrealistic thing that's not a CGI baby, a CGI dog, or a VIP. Is this like
Or-
random scanner?
or somebody making a phone call to a CB radio.
Yeah, don't fucking get me started on that because they fucking do it again. They do it again in episode 4. I want you to know, and it fucking drives me bonkers.
I maybe the same technology that allows them to do that is the technology that allows them to scan somebody's body.
This isn't a spoiler, but Captain Park gets a phone call on his cell phone when they're on the boat. So why didn't he call them on the cell phone instead of the CB radio? I was losing my mind, Sean. I was losing my goddamn mind. I was like, why? Why did they do this with the CB radio? Such a stupid complaint by me, but I was losing my mind. I'm trying to remember where they leave off with the guards here. She sends him to number 16's room, and then she goes into the vents to confront the black-dressed guard who she's been dealing with this whole time. And she's like, hey, he thinks it's still the doctor at this point. And she's like, I need a boat. Put us on outside detail, and I need a boat. And he's like, well, why would I do that? And she's like, well, you don't want to mess around with the VIPs here. And so he's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that kind of unravels. She does end up getting the key in her breakfast. And he's watching, and that's when he tells them to go investigate the scene more. And that's when they scan and find out that number 16 is the person in the player's uniform, not the actual doctor. And then very
excited to see where that goes as the show continues to fucking crawl with all of these subplots. I want to put you into the shoes of two people and ask you a question about them.
All right.
The first person is I want to put you in the shoes of the boat captain. Okay, Captain Park.
Captain Park. Okay.
At this point, you're standing there as Junho is being like, no, this is it. We're fucking there. We've got it. Like, we're going to do it. At this point, you just change sides, right?
I think. Well, to be fair, I have knowledge of what happens in the next episode. I'm going to answer this like I'm the captain right now.
Yeah.
And I will say that I probably wouldn't immediately, because they haven't found the island yet. I probably wouldn't immediately try to take them down, or But I think I'm starting to come to the realization that, hey, I'm gonna have to handle this.
I think if I'm the captain, I'm not like telling them everything. I'm just like, all right, from now on, I know I'm not part of this. Just like I just am like, oh, the island. I'm so surprised. Like, I don't try to sabotage them, but I also don't volunteer up any information. I'm just like, you know what? What happens, happens. And I'm just I'm along for it now.
Yeah. I think there's some, based on the pictures of the fishing that they did, I think there's some loyalty there.
Probably. That's probably
true.
He's
not just
a
hired gun,
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
The similar thing of somebody who I think at this point should just say fuck it and just let things play out. If you're the manager guy, that you've discovered that this girl wants to escape with the guy, I think you just say fuck it and let it go. I think at this point you don't make a fuss. You just fucking you just like, just fucking get out of it. Just like stop causing trouble.
I think if it was actually the other guard, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's a player, I think that causes a problem.
Okay.
But maybe it doesn't, because they were ready to just let the players go in season 1, right? Like
they did. They let them go.
Right. So maybe
and they've offered every time to let them go here.
Yeah, so I don't know why that's such a big deal that he's somewhat, because he escaped death, I guess. Like
I don't know.
But it's not like they stole a bunch of money or...
I just think it's like, man, it's just like doing something is just going to cause more problems than if you just let him go.
I think the bigger implication is that it's possible the front man could find out about their illegal organ harvesting.
Yes, but I think we had this conversation last season that it sounds like the problem with what happened last time was that they involved one of the players and were giving them an advantage in the game and not the organ harvesting itself.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to know. It does seem like the front man doesn't actually really give a shit, right? Yeah. He just wants to like make sure the VIPs are happy and then maybe fuck around with Gihan a little bit, you know? Like he doesn't like to me it's like, hey, I have these like supervisors that wear all black for a reason, let them handle this shit. I don't really care.
Yeah.
This is below me. I don't give a shit. You guys can harvest organs, whatever. But we don't know that either, right? We don't know how he feels about it because it's never crossed that part for him.
Yeah.
So, but no, I agree with you. She seems like a headache. Stop having her come back to work there.
Just fucking let it go. Just get
a hold of HR, Terminator, and be done. You know.
Well, I guess that is kind of what he's doing.
Yeah.
Just in a violent way. You know?
Yes. Agreed.
Oh. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I just was saying for the silence.
For the umming of it?
Yeah, the umming of it all.
I guess my last thing to really bring up is a long asked question on this podcast that we find ourselves coming back to every time a game is played. How are you faring in this? Because I got to tell you, I think I get in there and I just fucking jump. I just kill myself.
Yeah, you know, I'm not much of a jump rope guy. I can jump rope. I'm not particularly good at it, but I think the problem I have is the hand-eye coordination, not necessarily the jumping, right?
Yeah.
I can't twirl it at a pace where I can comfortably jump, and typically jump ropes are too short for me because I have very long arms and legs. So I think if you removed the hand part of it, I might be okay. The part I couldn't really wrap my head around while watching was jumping the gap.
So that was another part. My thought, and this is not how it plays out, but my thought was you had to jump the gap and the rope at the same time. I thought jumping, in my head, if you jumped the gap, you wouldn't be able to reset in time to jump the rope.
So it had to be like 3 consecutive jumps, right? Like you jump the rope, jump the gap, jump the rope.
Yeah.
I think it would be very hard to it's more or less something you have to feel out. I think you can't just like use,
which I think is what they're doing.
Right.
You know, they're like Gihan stops, he just kind of stands there and he's just hopping and hopping and hopping and then he does it.
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean in general too, like I don't think you can watch the rope, right? Like I don't think that's how it works. I think you kind of have to feel the timing for it. And so
you know, there, with it being a machine doing it, there's probably more standardness or more consistency.
It's not like Double Dutch where the people twisting the rope for you can fuck it up.
Yeah.
My first thought was let it pass and then just run as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And do like a leaping jump, you know? And it'd be like, it'd be risky.
Yeah.
But it could work.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Because it's not that far of a distance.
It's not. I guess my thing is maybe I'm just slow, you know? So I feel like I don't know.
I also think, you know, Namgyu gets hit with it, obviously. I also think they're underplaying, because it's not like an actual rope.
Oh my God. I feel like it would hit you so fucking hard. Like,
yeah. I think it would like
it doesn't
chop
look
your
like it
feet
does.
off.
I thought the rope was gonna kill them before the fall did, and it did, and that wasn't the case.
Because the amount of noise it's making when it whips, to me, that's gonna at least lacerate your ankles.
Yeah.
You know, I get it pushes them off as well, but like, I don't know.
Also got the vibe it was swinging higher off the ground than it actually is. Like I thought it was gonna hit them more in like stomach area. Like I thought it was almost like stomach height, not ankle height. But
well, and at first
not.
I wondered if like you could duck it too. Like I was like, oh, is someone gonna know they can? But I don't think you could duck it.
No, I think it's, and that's why you put it at the ankle height, right?
Right.
Because nobody can just crawl across.
Right.
Although I don't know if crawling across would work with the.
Nam, you basically did that. He was crawling for his drug cross.
Kind of, but he's doing jump still.
Yeah, he was. He wasn't just crawling, but he was crawling and then hopping and crawling and then hopping.
Yeah. I just mean that I don't think you could like. If you were crawling, if it was higher up, so you could literally just crawl under it, I don't know how you would handle the gap then.
I think depending on how tall you are, I think you could bridge that gap.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong though.
I don't know.
Anyway, we will find out.
I was gonna say also with the railroad tracks, maybe that gives you something to grab onto.
Oh yeah. You're right. No, I think they're painted. I think
are they painted? Okay.
The sides of the tracks aren't, but I think the actual like rungs in the track, I think they're painted.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like kids' railroad tracks.
Yeah.
But we'll find out how this comes to pass in the next episode, Sean. I'm excited.
I have another dumb question for you.
Okay.
They say, because I'm just looking at the bridge, right? They say like, you have to make it. I don't remember what the actual wording is, right? I'm taking a screenshot of this to send you. Do you think you could climb down to like the underbit? Or do you think they'd shoot you?
I don't think they'd shoot me, but I don't think that's a viable option.
I guess it doesn't extend far enough to do the gap.
It's broken, yeah. It's broken at one point. Maybe on the second half of the bridge, but at that point, you might as well, if you made it that far, you might as well just fucking go.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if that's like in the spirit of the game or whatever.
You know what this bridge reminds me of, looking at it right now? Fucking Final Fantasy VII. This looks like that area.
It looks like a Final Fantasy VII area. Yeah. The CGI.
Yeah. It looks like that area you go in the OG Final Fantasy VII. After you leave Midgar, obviously, and you're like walking the train tracks, and then you can like you can fall through a crack and you can like move Cloud to get the different items. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, even the ladder, even the ladder on the column looks like a ladder you would climb in fucking Midgar.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah. That's so funny.
It's made in Unreal Engine.
Yeah, probably. I can tell you what wasn't made in Unreal Engine, the fucking dog and the baby. It was made in fucking some PlayStation 1 fucking engine.
Made that in Blender.
Yeah, it was fucking ridiculous. It's a fucking Netflix show, for Christ's sake.
Oh, boy.
Anyway. I think that does it for this episode. Next episode we'll cover...
that's everything I've got.
Episode 3, which is...
Episode 4.
I'm sorry, you're right. Episode 3 is what we just did. Episode 4 is called 222.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Sean?
I am... Junie's absolutely dead. She's not making it through this. So I thought it was like to the point where I thought when she saw her kid make it across, I thought she was just going to kill herself there to force Gihan into this situation, kind of like, because I was like, there's no way she's making it on her own. I really don't know what him coming with her is going to do to help. I think she's just fucked with that ankle. Like, yeah,
I think the idea is he would, theoretically put her in like a fireman's carry and try to hop.
Maybe, but
she's not super heavy. She's a small gal.
Maybe, I guess. I don't know. At this point, I really thought she was just going to kill herself to be like, you're the best chance my baby has, and I'm not going to let you kill yourself trying to get me across,
I guess we'll see, Sean.
We will. Yeah.
All right, I am ready to end this episode.
Okay, I agree. We can end the episode. Guys, thanks so much for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
when you think about it, the whole practice of this is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I know, like, bombs weren't as big of a deal when they wrote the Star Spangled Banner. You know? But imagine, like, we won some nuclear war, and to celebrate, we let off things that looked like nuclear bombs in the sky. And that was our celebration.
You know?
Doesn't really make a lot of sense.